All right. So, time being 6 o'clock, we can start the meeting. Call the meeting to order. Please, everyone stand and we'll salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The first order of business is announcements from the health department. A little like today, we're winding down our booster shot and flu clinic. I think we are almost out of COVID boosters right now.
Cool.
So at least for the time being, we'll be winding that down. We still have some flu if anyone's interested, although we're pretty far into flu season. The only other thing I will say is we do have an excess of medical sharps containers. Usually you can purchase them through the health department for $8, but they're free now. So if anyone wants to go to town hall, while we have supplies, they will be free. Well, it seems like I think everybody's already been sick. So probably the spring probably will not be, or the later winter won't be as bad as the early part of the winter and late fall. So.
I wonder if the schools would benefit from any of those sharps. Do we want to give them to the community, or should we ask if they need any for the schools?
I think they got some.
Oh, good.
We got them through DEP or
Okay.
DPH. I think we gave some to the fire department too. But if you need them, if anybody needs them over there, holler. All right. Moving on to discussion and action items. Regarding the new tobacco regulations in effect on January 15th. Any discussion? I know Clay just was able to sign those tonight. No discussion.
Yes, I'd move that forward.
Chris, do you have? So the process will be you'll be sending out a letter to everyone with the new regulations now that it's,
to all our tobacco retailers. I'll actually stop in and personally hand them a copy.
Okay.
Because I like to keep a good line of communication with them.
Okay.
And then submit it to the clerk. It'll be updated on the website, and then we submit a copy to DPH as well.
Okay. No, that will still be going into effect January 15th?
January 15th, yep.
Okay, awesome. All right. The next order of business is discussion regarding the new animal regulations. I don't know if anyone has anything to add to the animal regulations.
I think last time we kind of just walked through them. Let me find it first.
Yeah, I saw it's a draft on it. I thought it was tobacco. I have it on my
It's on my this.
Need to organize. I think initially, last time we were looking through just what are we definitely keeping in, what are we definitely keeping out, and then figuring out fee schedule and how we felt with that, and then trying to bring in or send like this draft around a couple people that do have stables to figure out like, is it something that makes sense, comparing it to other towns and whatnot. Because we have like some changes, instead of the board, it would go to the health agent.
Right.
New application and variance request was removed. So I think we kind of went through it quite a bit last time.
I wanted to talk to some of my friends who own chickens and then just see what their thoughts too were about the fees. Because I know you had mentioned, like, as someone who's trying to decrease cost of eggs, that it kind of was unfair to ask for.
I like the first year. I think we had talked about, you have the first year permit.
Right.
And then
we had to put
every year is for stables and free for other livestock year 2 on. And there's obviously we have to figure out what are the fines for any of the violations.
Right.
And then anyone who has them currently would still have to file and show that they have them already, and it would be free because they were already had
Yeah. I still like
and
that.
we also didn't we have to put a number on exactly how many chickens
yes.
would basically trigger getting a permit, which I mean I don't know what that
how many chickens do you think?
So Massachusetts requires you have to purchase a minimum 6.
Okay.
So I think 6 is fine. If you have if you're starting with less than 6.
Yeah, you're fine.
I feel like 2 or 3 is 2 or 3 could live in a space of this table
Right.
and have, or even less than that, like they could live
Right.
on one table.
Right, they usually just
So I
sit
feel
there.
like the fact that Massachusetts has that minimum for purchase,
Mm.
that we could just follow that and just say if you have 6 or more,
Mm-hmm.
you just have to file.
File for a permit.
Yeah,
I'm fine with that. I mean, I was even gonna say a dozen, but,
a dozen is a lot.
is it a lot? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not a chicken guy, so,
I mean, I
A
had
lot
a
of
dozen
chickens.
and I've lost 3 to hawks in the last 3 months. So,
Oh my gosh.
well, then you'd be down to 10 or 11.
so now I'm down to 9, so I wouldn't need a permit. You know what I mean? But like my 9 take up like a lot of space.
Do they?
Yeah. So and they just get, I think just keeping the 6.
So does that mean 6 plus you need to have a permit? Under 6 you don't need to have a permit?
So that I think we have
6
under
and
the 5 permanent application requirements, we have the keeping of less than blank. So we could say the keeping of less than 6 chickens shall not require a permit.
Right.
Okay.
Because again, like, I mean, if you have 2 or 3 or that's,
Right.
um,
Do you want to include ducks too? Like I know people do ducks as well.
So
yeah.
maybe should we change it to say fowl
Fowl.
Foul.
instead of
we have
because I
people really
agree,
have
like
ducks?
it kind
Yeah.
I know a few people that do ducks. Yeah.
You've got the duck saloon over on Plymouth.
Okay.
It's literally like it's built like a little. It looks like a little saloon. I've traded my chicken eggs for his duck eggs. They're so fun.
Okay.
And then you can get ducks that are like guards for the chickens. It's a whole thing. So yeah.
I would think my personal opinion then is that yes, like if you're regulating one, how can you not regulate the other?
Right. And ducks are way smellier.
Yeah.
But then you get into quail, which are smaller. You could also.
Let's stop it.
Okay.
Oh, no.
So the keep.
My eyes
So
were
6
glazing
plus
over
of
before.
We're gonna do the 12
any-
days of Christmas.
So-
Pigeons? Do anybody
Wait,
do
so it
pigeons
says-
anymore? Is that a
Yeah,
thing?
the pigeons. My fat phrase.
I don't
You
know.
can. There's a guy in Rockland that actually is like on the national level for
Pigeon racing?
for pigeon racing. Yeah. Didn't we have? It's something. And so we just have domesticated animals. Poultry. Maybe we just call it poultry.
Poultry
I think poultry. So
would cover ducks and chickens.
the keeping of less than 6 poultry shall not require a permit.
Yeah. Less than 6.
Mm-hmm. So instead of chicken, we're going to say poultry, and we've decided.
Application for a permit shall be submitted in a form.
And I think one of the things as well was section or C,
We were getting
The
rid of that
keeping-
entire one.
right? So we decided roosters are allowed. It's just a noise ordinance thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
That's already covered. And we know we have residents with roosters.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You're having a hard time getting rid of them. The gal I know.
Yes. So I mean, do we want to instead of just omitting it, do we want to say the keeping of less than 6 poultry shall not require a permit? No, I don't even know how to say that they're allowed, but
I think it's a given. I think it's
yeah, if it
assumed.
doesn't say it,
Yeah,
then
I
it's
don't think
assumed.
we need to- yeah. We're just saying that if it's over 6, then you need to be regulated. For your neighbor's sake.
Yeah. All right.
I'm fine with it, whatever the board kind of decides on a number there. I think 6 probably is fine.
I think it seems reasonable. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not.
What if someone had 4 though, and like one of them was a horrible, nasty roost? I don't know.
They happen. Roosters.
I mean, they wouldn't need a permit, but they're still going to fall under the noise ordinance,
Okay.
right? So it doesn't matter because right now, like if I had a rooster, I don't have a permit because we didn't have a permit set up, but like my
Right.
neighbors could still call and complain. I
Right.
mean, I would want to call and complain on my own rooster, but
And they go all day.
Yeah.
they do.
Yes.
It's not just the morning,
It's nothing more. They go all day.
but the hens are just as loud. So they just don't do it first thing in the morning. That's all.
Mm.
They are very loud during the day too. Tends to increase the number of animals or change in species that be kept prior to the end. Must notify.
So then we'll just have to go through too from the very beginning with a fine tooth comb and change any time it says chicken to say poultry.
Mm-hmm.
Did the in the definitions does it mention that? I just
Oh,
want to
good
make sure.
question.
It does.
Poultry.
Under domesticated
Animal.
animals of a species of vertebrates have been domesticated by humans to live and breed shall include but not be limited to any equine or bovine, goat, sheep, swine, dog, cat, poultry, or other domesticated beast or bird.
Okay.
So that's where I found poultry. Sorry,
Okay.
just
So
to
to
keep
make
it
sure that
consistent.
wasn't like an agricultural
Sure.
term as opposed to.
Okay, so we're gonna have to go through and change all those out and,
That will be quick enough.
yeah.
And then, so I think that page 2 is okay. Page 3, I wrote noise ordinance on there, because maybe did we need to put that wording in there somewhere? No. Let's see.
So the noise ordinance is under who, Chris? Is it under,
That's under us.
it's what?
That's under us.
It's under you as well. Okay, just making sure.
Although, the caveat to that is it depends on the nature of the complaint.
Okay.
Disturbance of the peace is a police matter.
Right,
Noise.
I know we went through this kind of before.
But in this case, it would fall under health department.
Okay.
And then this part was all fine. We added an agent to part C of number 4, page 4. And then page 5, I have part I X'd out. Does everybody else?
Yeah, because we don't have anything issued prior.
Oh, right.
So
Oh, because this is the right. Yeah, so I think we just axe that completely.
yeah,
Yep, it should be deleted if there's no current regulation in place. So that's
yeah.
gone.
So we just left that. Yep.
And then for the hearings,
I have crossed out new applications, so it's just all variance requests will be considered by the board only if the board conducts a public hearing. And then same in B, it's variance requests instead of application, because application would go straight to the health agent and not through the Board of Health. Was the difference.
will be considered by the board only after the board conducts a public hearing. Right.
For a variance, like if there's something that needs to be changed or.
For hearings, right. That's how that will directly relate to the hearings, because then
Yep.
they'll come to us instead of.
Mhm.
All right. The applicant must demonstrate that the issuance of permit shall not be detrimental in any way to the public welfare. Yes, yes, yes.
And then under 7A,
Add agent.
yeah, we said for housing or confining of animals without submitting an initial revised plan to the health agent for its review and approval. Section shall not apply to repairs. And then it talks about the zoning bylaws.
Penalties. All right, so that's now where we're kind of leading up to about the fine, I guess.
The severability, yeah,
If
if,
there is a violation of this regulation, a designated agent of the Board of Health, or do we want to change that to say agent again? Because you'll be our enforcer?
Yeah, although that wording allows, like if I was out of town, I had to
That we would be
somebody else,
able to
yeah.
make a,
Like we outsource our food inspections at the moment, so it's
okay.
they're my designee, the board's designee.
All right, so keep that as is. May issue a written order to the person or persons having control of the premises and the permit holder, blah, 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 that looks okay.
Oh, I did speak with Joe Kenny, our animal
Oh,
control
right.
officer, and he would be more than happy to join one of our meetings to answer any questions or be involved in the discussion.
okay. Because we don't have, I think the other thing too is we don't have anything regarding to,
Exotic animals.
well, that would probably be Massachusetts.
Oh, and not have anything to do with us.
Yeah, because they have so many restrictions, like you can have a capybara or like certain restrictions on things. But we don't have anything involving stables, which is what we were trying to add initially.
Yeah.
So that's something that we need to add to this. That's going to be like a whole other section. But because a lot of that will have, I think you gave us a few examples where it talks about like storage of manure, storage of hay, pest maintenance, stuff like that. So that's something we need to add in as well. I guess if we want to figure out the fee schedule.
Can we hold for 1 second?
Yeah.
So on letter C, it says each day the violation continues shall be considered a separate offense. I do worry about that one because now I know like my neighbor has a rooster and the rooster is very loud, but she's trying to find a new home for it, but it's becoming a difficult thing. So does that mean every single day, even though she is trying to find a new home, like that feels a little bit, well, I guess it depends
Well, so
on what
this
the fine
isn't,
is.
this
Well, I
isn't
think
for
generally
noise ordinance,
speaking,
this is
you
for
probably
this
give her time.
regulation.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of, that's what I wanted
Yeah,
to
if reasonable
say.
effort is being made.
Yes.
That's how
Right.
we work, housing and food violations and,
Okay, so it doesn't have to be,
yeah, if they
A separate
refuse to do
offense.
anything about it, it would be a separate offense, but
should we scratch that line out?
I would leave it be just in case you have somebody who's being difficult.
Okay.
And then the health agent can use his discretion.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we're all about education versus punishing, so
Right.
anytime that we don't have to find somebody.
Let's not. Oh, the arrangements for rehoming the animal shall accompany a suspension. Yep. Okay. Part D. And that's all fine, and we didn't do anything to variances or severability. So where do we put the fines in? Where do we want to put that?
Under penalties? Oh, no, because that's not a penalty. Permit and application requirements? Right, a permit is required for keeping one or more animals that's fine with this regulation, except on commercial farms, which means something separate. And then underneath, maybe we just add underneath that what the fee schedule would be, so it's just right at the get-go on page 4,
Yep, I'm with you. Permit and application requirements.
right?
I don't know, because that's kind of like you're getting going. Plot plan dimensions. Hearings, penalties. I think maybe with penalties. If there's a violation, well, I don't know, because we're saying there will be an initial permit cost.
For anything that is for poultry, and then we have the every year for stables.
All right, so I agree. Then that should go right in the beginning because it's like you're charging for the service of getting established, not for
Yep. Right, you need,
Yeah.
here's what we need in the permit, and here's the check you'll have to write as well,
for
basically.
booking or whatever. Right.
I think we spoke about a pretty nominal figure too, wasn't it?
Yeah, $5 or
$10 or something.
Yeah, I know at least with the stable fee, the state will,
It was what,
sets it
40?
at 40, can't go above.
About
Yep.
40, right.
And that also has to be a town meeting by law, so,
To set that?
to set the fee. Yeah, the regulation doesn't have to be, but the fee does. It's odd.
Okay. Are we trying to get this in for this year's?
The warrant, the selectmen
They
are
just
opening
open
the
it
warrant tonight.
tonight.
Yeah.
Okay.
so maybe there's no pressure. Maybe can we hold off? I haven't had a chance to speak to my chicken holding friends that I would like to.
We can definitely table it, I think, kind of take
Okay.
these changes, maybe clean up kind of where we're at right now on the, on a master, getting like a new master out to folks, right? And then at that point, we can kind of clean it, like make sure
Yeah.
it's cleaned up, and then next
Go
week,
through.
go through the final,
Yeah.
try to get to
I
a
wasn't
final
planning to
version.
make this final, yeah,
Do you want
sorry.
me to ask Joe if he can join us next
Yeah.
time?
That'd be
That'd be
great if
lovely.
you could
Yeah.
at the next meeting.
Be good. All right, so we're gonna table this,
Yeah.
move
Yep.
forward tabling it, all right. So the next item on the agenda is the FY '25 Health Board, Health Department budget. I asked Chris to add this just so we have, can educate ourselves before we go to town meeting. And Chris can go over it. One of the things I saw in here, Chris, which I like, is the additional funding for grinding up at the compost station, which is, I think, helpful.
Yes.
Should be good.
Yeah, so everybody has a copy. I just want to preface all of this by saying this is the proposed budget. We've met with FinCom and we've met with the selectmen, but nothing has been signed off on, and of course it goes to town meeting for vote. So this is not a final budget. This was just our proposal. We can get into the nitty gritty if you want. I kind of have an overview here of at least what we are looking to make changes on. Basically, we were asking for an increase in staffing because we would like to have part-time staff at the compost site so that we can open it during the week and also open up our swap shop. We asked for an increase in travel budget for staff training. Right now, the Public Health Excellence Grant that we are a part of pays for all of our education and travel within state, but there's quite a few professional development conferences that are out of state, and we have a very small budget currently for travel and training. Increases for trash services, hazardous waste, and sharps. Basically, with trash services, I think we actually withdrew that. We currently have, I think, a $1.5 million budget, and trash was coming in at 1.3. So we're still within. We just signed a 2-year extension to our current trash contract.
Is it 2 years?
The 2-year, yeah, it's a 1-2 year.
That goes off on July 1st, though, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we did make some adjustments to that, which will cause some pay increases, but it's basically just covering costs that Boston Carting are incurring. Hazardous waste, we asked for an increase in that because we had been using our recycling dividend program grant for that. The grant guidelines have changed this year, so we're going to see a reduction in the amount of money we get, and the cost of hazardous waste are going up. Long term, we are looking at establishing a permanent household hazardous waste facility in Hanover that we would be able to participate in, and if we have a permanent site, that will bring the cost down significantly. And sharps, basically, we have a sharps return program here in Abington. You can bring your used needles into the health department. We had been giving them to the fire department, and they were disposing of them. They had to cut their budget, so they're no longer providing that service for us. So we have a company that we're contracting with, but that's costing money, so we asked for an increase for that. Then, as Kevin mentioned, we asked for an increase for the compost site grinding. Basically, if you've been up there, we have a couple of windrows of compost. Some of it's gone to seed just because it's been there so long, and the current pile this year really got out of control. We just ran out of space, so we need to be more proactive about turning it and grinding it. In the interim, I did use some of our existing RDP funds, and week after next, a company called AgriSource is coming in and will be trucking out about 2/3 of the current compost pile. They have their own compost facility, so they'll finish composting it, turning it into loam, and doing whatever they do with it.
Cool.
By spending the money to get rid of it, that will give us space to work with what we've got.
Well, I think, yeah, maybe, and then you can begin to do it, right, and kind of turn it over. I think the thing is, if you turn it over a couple times, in the wintertime, it's pretty much, the material can be pretty, can be useful, like probably in about 6 to 9 months. So it's all about grinding it a couple times and then turning it over a few times up through the winter months,
Yeah.
getting it to kind of really cook, and then by springtime the material should be really good for anyone to use, whether it's up at the Griffin's Dairy or wherever. The material will be good.
And we haven't, the current pile hasn't been turned in about 5 years, so
Yeah.
we're trying to.
Yeah. The problem too is what happens is that when you do it right, it gets up to above 140 degrees, which kills all the weed seed
Yeah.
inside. And what happens right now where that is, it just sits there and it doesn't really cook. So the temperature stays too low, and then when people do get it, it's just a bunch
Full
of
of
weeds.
weeds.
Yeah.
So that's so if we can kind of get it where we're turning the piles, grinding it, and turning the piles, then we'll be able to make that useful product.
And we do want to remind people too that the stuff that we have now, it makes good fill. If
Right.
if it's got weeds in it, and you don't want to use it
Right.
as
solid
loam
fill.
or compost. It does make good fill.
Correct.
And we've actually tried to reach out to a couple of companies to see if they want it, but nobody will remove it for free.
Right.
Even if they're going to use it and saving themselves money, they're going to charge for removal. So,
Removal for transportation.
yeah.
Okay.
So those were our major asks.
So what was the feedback from the FinCom as far as, because I did see it's a pretty significant increase, about 10%.
Yeah, I mean, when you take trash out of our budget, we have one of the smallest budgets in town.
Right.
They seemed agreeable to most of it. You know, we weren't asking for anything unreasonable. Revenue, that's revenue, sorry.
Yeah, that's just nice.
Trying to look at what we asked for increases. And some of the stuff is shorter term too. Like I said, with the hazardous waste, we might see an increase in that for the next year or so. But once a new facility is available, the cost will go down.
Yeah, I mean, 100,000 of that is the trash, so you're going from 1.5 to 1.6 for the trash budget.
Yeah, and
So-
like with the additional staff, we asked for 3 part-time minimum wage positions, you know, rather than a more high level.
Good. Does anybody have any questions on the budget?
No.
No, it makes sense. Thanks for providing this. It's helpful.
All right, Chris, the next up on the agenda is the health agent report.
Yeah, so this is something new. I have been, with our grant money, we digitized all of our files, all our paper files, and everything in the street files just came back as numbered documents. So in my spare time, I've been going through and actually looking at the documents and renaming them for what they are. And the health agent has historically given a report to the board at every meeting. So I'm trying to do that again. This one's a little light because it's my first one. But basically, since our last Board of Health meeting, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, we've had 8 food establishment inspections. Mary Lou's, Teffy's, Terranosa, and Wendy's were. So restaurants are inspected twice a year. So these were routine inspections. The other ones were re-inspections. So if we go out and there are deficiencies, we will do a re-inspection usually within 1 to 2 weeks. So the Spencer's, Powerhouse Nutrition, Mia Ragazza, and Honeydew Donuts, just they had some items that needed to be corrected, and we went back out on those. Out of those inspections, we did issue 4 fines for priority violations. There's a town bylaw that if a food establishment has what's considered a priority violation, they're fined $50. Difference between a regular violation and a priority is any safety violations found are conditions that could cause contamination of food or illness. Priority violation is a situation exists which could immediately cause. It's generally holding temps being off or food surfaces being contaminated, things like that. So we had 4 of those. We did unfortunately have a forced closure of a food establishment. Teffy's restaurant at 800 Brockton Ave failed to renew their food establishment permit for 2024, and you cannot operate a food establishment without permitting. However, prior to December 31st, an inspection was done, and the conditions there were egregious. Immediate threats to safety and health, including sewage water coming through the tap water, stagnant moldy water in the dishwashers, rodent droppings on food prep areas, hand sinks backed up. So I placarded the door. They have been ordered closed, and I will not reissue them a new permit. I have told the owner if he wishes to reopen the store that he will have to appear before the board at a public hearing to explain to the board what plans have been done to remediate that problem, and if the board sees fit, if he's reapplying for a permit, you can reissue a permit, but I will not do so. That report is public information and that's available. I didn't bring a copy tonight, but if anyone wants
I
it.
mean, this is a pretty rare action. I mean, like, I think, I know in the 3 years I've been on the board, this has never happened before, and you were on previously, so I don't know when the last time something like this happened, but this is very rare.
I have never closed the store. There have been situations where we've almost had to suspend, but we've been able to work with the owner to fix the problem.
Right away, yeah.
This was, I mean, this might have been a suspension if their permit was still active, but they failed to renew, which would have been cause to close anyway. But with the conditions I found, I don't feel it's safe to be open to. And it's such a lack of basic fundamental knowledge on sanitation that I would be severely concerned about them being in operation again. So.
Okay.
And other than that, complaints, that's either through the website or phone calls. We had 5. A complaint about missed trash, which actually we probably got more than one about that, but I had only had one jotted down. Rats at Island Grove, dogs barking, which is a noise regulation. Toilet backing up at a business, which turned out to be not that serious, and a complaint about neighborhood dumpsters in their backyard. So any complaints we receive at the health department, we do investigate. If it warrants a corrective order, then we issue one. If it doesn't,
With the rodents at Island Grove, is that something that you've, maybe would, because it is a town property, that you would, put the baiting stations and things like that there? Or?
we could put out our contrapest, our contraceptive program. We've wound that down for now because the bait freezes in the winter.
Okay.
But we'll be going back out in the spring. The unfortunate part is rats are native to the area. They're there. We're not going to get rid of them. The best we can do, that I told the resident who was complaining, was to wrap roof the yard, remove wood piles, bird feeders, make sure your foundation doesn't have holes in it, or anything that's attractive to rats. But
Right. Okay.
and that's all I had for a report.
Thank you.
If there's more specific things the board would like to see,
I think that's good. That's helpful.
Yeah, I like knowing what's going on.
Yeah, and then inspections for like body art or other places, are those yearly or?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
so we would see those too.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah. And
awesome.
I'll list any inspections we do, any follow-ups.
This is the Board of Health.
Okay. The other.
Everyone else is
Upstairs.
upstairs.
And for residents, or even the board, all the inspections are public information. If you want to know what the last inspection results were for a restaurant, you can contact the health department. If you go to a restaurant, you can ask for it. If they can't provide it, you should let us know. That's a finable offense.
Okay.
And we do provide them with a copy of it too.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris. Next item on the agenda is to vote to approve the minutes from December 18th. I'll entertain a motion.
I will make a motion to approve the minutes from December 18th.
1 second.
There's a motion on the floor by Katie and seconded by Amanda. So all those in favor signify by saying aye, approving the December 18th minutes.
Hi.
Aye.
All those opposed? No. Unanimous. Okay. Next is the public comment.
Got nothing.
Any public comment? No. Any correspondence, Chris?
Yeah, actually, I did get an interesting one today, which I'll share with the board. The folks over at Alltown, the gas station and convenience store on
On 18139. Yeah.
Yeah, Alltown as a company has some really, really good policies on tobacco sales. And I got a call this morning. Woman was asking. They have a store policy that they card everybody for tobacco products.
Oh.
And she was accosted by a customer who was not happy about being carded and said it was illegal. So she was asking me. So I looked up the regulations, and according to the Massachusetts tobacco control regulations, anybody under the age of 27 has to be carded. How you determine on your own if somebody is 27 or 28, I do not know.
Well, it's the same as alcohol. Like if you think they look over 35, I think is what it is.
Yeah.
Well, they do. I mean, if you go to Fenway Park, if even by advanced age, they do card you for alcohol.
Yep.
It's easier to
So-
ask everyone than make that
Yeah.
decision.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I told her, and I don't know if she'd run into this again, but so the law says 27 and under, you have to card. Stores, I think people tend to forget, are private
Right.
property. They have the right to refuse service or ask for ID if they so
Right.
choose.
Mhm.
If you don't care for it, you can
Right.
shop somewhere else.
I think that's definitely to the discretion of the, because
Me
obviously
too,
if they
yeah.
find out that it's, that somebody is underage, it's their
That's it.
violation.
Yeah.
So
and
it's
it's
up
a
to their
significant
discretion.
fine.
Right.
She also asked, and I thought this was, I didn't find anything anywhere about this, about lighters. So Alltown does not allow the sale of lighters out on the counter. You have to ask for it, and they will card you for a lighter. Almost every other place they're available out on the counter.
Yeah.
Alltown's thought is it's a tobacco adjacent product. Now I know we just had this discussion about flavored wraps with the owner of Brennan's. It's a valid argument there, but there's no guidelines in the state that I could find regarding lighters. About
I mean, I would say if you can't sell spray paint to someone under 18, a lighter's not that far off. That's how I would see it, is like that's a reasonable thing to, as a business, if you want to make that decision, make that decision.
Yeah.
I don't think it has anything to do with being tobacco. That's their choice to make it tobacco adjacent. I could see it as it's a incendiary device. Like it.
yeah,
Could be a weapon.
Yeah, like I
Yeah.
think that's reasonable. So I don't think there needs to be, that's up
Very
to them.
thought-provoking
That was,
questions
yeah.
from
yeah.
both
She's
towns.
the
Never thought
last
about
time she had a question
Yeah.
for me it was also a good one. She was apologetic, but I'm like, no, I'm happy. I
Like
get
some
something to research.
teenagers,
so-
I wouldn't want them to have a lighter,
yeah,
but then someone could need it just to build a fire.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know, to go camping. So it could go either way.
yeah, or to fuse the end of a rope.
Yeah.
So no, that was all.
Good.
Interesting.
Yes. All right, so that's the end of the agenda. If, we have a meeting again on January 22nd in 2 weeks, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I get a motion to adjourn. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I
I
Ayes have it. We're adjourned. Thank you.
Perfect.